Can we get a sailboat, chasing down the sunset as we float round and round the globe?
This is Margarida, the normal one in a not quite normal marriage.
And this is Peter. He's a little bit different, which keeps me on my toes. Together we are on an adventure that didn't work out as planned, but we are fighting back, so come join us.
Let's go.
G'day viewers, this message is for our patrons, our future patrons, hopefully, to our patrons that we've lost in the past, and to our PayPal contributors. Welcome. Now, I have to be quick because the lovely Margarida is due back and I need to finish this video, edit it, and sneak it in just like I had to do with the ad campaign. So, shh! To our patrons. You're probably wondering why I'm communicating with you through YouTube and not through the Patreon website. Well, the answer is simple. I tried, but it only reached 15% of you. I suspect 85% of you rely solely on your YouTube notifications and you don't even see the Patreon notifications. Hence, you're missing out on Patreon-only content. Now, in the past there wasn't that much, but things are changing. There's going to be a heap of Patreon-only material. So what I suggest you do is you check Patreon once or twice a week, or send them an email that you use more regularly so you see the notifications. This video is to let you know what is happening with us and to explain the recent beer ad campaign. Now, I had a lot of fun making the beer ad and I hope you enjoyed it. It certainly was a challenge keeping it a secret from Margarida. She's dead against it. But I'm putting on the final touches and then I was contemplating publishing it. It certainly left a bad taste in my mouth. But drastic times calls for drastic measures, people, and my mother used to say, sometimes you have to eat broccoli to get better. For more than a year now, the vlog has been in a real decline, so much so that we are fast approaching our limit. Now, for those that know us, and you ought to know us by now, we were never in it for the money. It's about adventure, having fun, seeing remote places, and sharing with you guys, and of course, getting by. But seeing Margarida put in hundreds and hundreds of hours and we're not even achieving that, well, something had to be done. Hence, the ad campaign. The trouble with Margarida is that her work ethic is unbelievable. Her belief in keeping at it, despite the reality of the situation, makes her work harder still. She is a perfectionist and I am not, and clearly the videos are better. I try to help out where I can, I try to insist sometimes, but it leads to arguments. I mean, come on now people, when my video's that bad, maybe you shouldn't answer that. About a year ago, we asked you guys, our patrons, what you wanted from the vlog. The overwhelming response was just keep making videos, but a recent survey has indicated that you want Patreon-only content. So that is what you're going to get. These will be a bit different from the standard YouTube videos. They will be short and snappy, oblique, sublime, ridiculous, fantasy, one-on-one conversation, and all sorts of other nonsense that can come from this rat's maze of a brain of mine. So being a patron, you'll have access to this Patreon-only content, as well as real-time updates and other perks from the site. And what's new with this, you can join our elite Facebook group, and you can be in direct contact with us through our WhatsApp. So how much do we actually earn? Well, as of January 2020, our very first video of the month earns us $515. But then, unfortunately, it drops off significantly for videos 2, 3, 4, and sometimes 5. So that our net result per month is this. That's right, people, it's just over $1,000 at the moment, which is about $240 or $250 per week. One of our fans said to us recently, you must be doing pretty good. I just saw a video of yours and it had 20,000 views. That's $20,000, isn't it? Well, it doesn't quite work like that. YouTube advertising does pay us a bit, but it's a fraction of a cent per view. And because everyone's got ad blockers nowadays, this income is really, really small. But it's enough to keep the dinghy topped up in the month, so it still helps. We also get PayPal contributions from time to time, and these are a real surprise because we never expect them. Now, in closing, it would be professionally remiss of me not to consider the reasons for our decline. And when I say professionally, obviously I mean that in the broadest possible terms. But there is a very real possibility that we are hopeless, and that to continue to support us flies in the face of reason. It's only natural to jump off a sinking ship. I can completely understand this. But let's face it, our budget is tiny, our platform is woefully inadequate sometimes, and our equipment is sadly lacking. But we do what we can with what we've got. And so long as we've got breath in our lungs, we will continue to provide nothing but quality videos for your viewing pleasure. So help me God.
If you would like to become a patron, visit this website where you will see the following. You can support us by paying per video or paying per month and setting a limit. And you can begin with as little as $2 to start your access to Patreon-only content. And of course, you can leave whenever you want.
Margarida was talking to Jose, and he offered to take us for a sail. Bloody great! Everyone goes to Buddy in Margarida's hands. I'm about as useful on the setup of this canoe as I am on my boat sometimes.
It's almost as high tech as my boat.
Let's go! Told us that he never had it on the side or underwater, which is pretty remarkable, because the big southerly winds, the Cuello de Pollos, can blow around 40 knots. If there is a squall, all the islanders blow the conch shells to warm the fishermen. If there is a whiteout, they can use the sounds of the conch to get back home. Such a light breeze, we were easily doing up to 4 knots, which is quite impressive, made of a 30-year-old sail with a panel replaced by a bedsheet. Amazed that everything is handmade and held together so simply with loops and simple knots. A Guna canoe can be made from many different trees. We found one that was crafted out of a dying mango tree. We have also seen them repair with beer cans, splayed over cracks, and also plastic bags. They don't have much and they use whatever they can get their hands on.
While sailing, we noticed that the sail was in dire need of repairs. The Gunas have very little, so we help out where we can.
Fabric from here, so we cannot attach it. But I'm just gonna go to the boat and pick some old clothes because he was gonna cut his own clothes to fix the sail. But that's not gonna happen. We're gonna pick some of our own.
Jose was going to use his shorts for the sail, and he was about to take them off too, but Margarida put a stop to it. Margarida came back with a sewing kit so he could fill in the small gap. I fit right at home here with all these dodgy sorts of repairs. Gonna be as good as old.
We saved with the Guinness. So attached to the mast, next to the mast, they had the other pole that you might have noticed changed to the angle, but had a tiny rope that when the wind is too strong for them to do like this, pull it. So the mast doesn't come off because when the wind is too strong, because the mast they just put it and take it pulls up. So one has to be holding down with a little stick like that, facing down so it doesn't move.
How close is that? He actually was closer. I didn't have the presence of mind to actually film it 5 minutes before. He was much closer. I could have been on my back platform and I could have actually pissed into his anchor well. I was a bit worried because if I hit a nice boat like that, I'm sure he can afford the lawyers to explain to everyone that it was my fault. So it's probably better just to avoid the situation. So I used our dinghy just to nudge my boat away. Now, this joker turned up the previous afternoon very late, and it was a bit of a northerly. We're in a tiny little spot. You can actually fit 2 boats here in the Culio de Polio season. That's the big strong wind that can possibly come in the middle of the night. But he needed to be about 30 or 40 metres further up. So not actually between the islands, just slightly out. But he didn't want to do that. Now, I explained to him the situation. He only had about 30 metres out. I had 50 metres out. I wasn't sitting to my anchor. I was just sitting to the chain. Now, he rocked up, put his anchor literally probably on my anchor or on the chain, and then dropped right back to probably about 8 metres in front of the bow, and then proceeded to keep his motors running, and literally our boat was full of diesel fumes. Now, Margarida wasn't feeling that good that afternoon anyway, and then the boat was just inundated in these fumes, and it just made it worse. I explained to him the situation, and he still didn't get it. He said, I've got to charge my batteries and bring my freezer down. Now, the poor Margarida was such that I try to be reasonable with people. I try to make a joke. I try to make people welcome. Well, unfortunately, I let him have it. It would have been an interesting blog indeed, and you would have said, oh my God. Hurting Margarida is a line that should not be crossed. And so he was on the receiving end of some pretty nasty abuse. He didn't actually follow my advice to actually move further up, where it's going to be safer for him and me, but he did turn his motors off. And I thought, well, look, I couldn't even move my boat forward to pick up my anchor because he was sitting on my anchor chain, and I think probably our anchors were next to each other. So I tried to reason, I couldn't. Anyway, we didn't have a Coolio de Polio in the middle of the night, which is a good thing, because I would have just bashed the hell out of the side of the boat coming down, and, well, I would have just filmed it, and hopefully that would have been enough evidence for the lawyers to keep the lawyers at bay. Now, in the morning, I think he was feeling a bit sad and sorry, and he came round to explain why he had to anchor there, because he had a 7-foot draft. Now, what he was saying is absolute complete nonsense. Look, I've almost got a 7-foot draft, and I can anchor all over the place, and what he's saying is rubbish. Because I've snorkeled all of this area, and I know the place intimately. Now, I don't know what it is. Sometimes when you ask someone or suggest something to it, it offends their pride. It's certainly a contentious issue. Oh, I'm not moving my anchor, I just put it in. This is my area, I am the king of my domain. Well, it seems that this type of person happens once in a while, and in fact, it comes from a certain nationality, I have found. It's happened a few times before. I'm not going to say the nationality. He, ha, 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 sacre bleu. Or more particular, it's across the border where they whirl subatomic particles and blow them to smithereens, trying to find evidence of the Higgs boson. Well, in the end, he did see that there was a problem, because I was again drifting back onto his bow and I would damage it. And he didn't accept my advice completely. I was suggesting to go to a slightly different spot about 30 metres from where he was. He proceeded to move to a spot that if the Coolio de Polio did come, he'd end up on the beach. And in the end, the next morning, we didn't have a full Coolio de Polio. If we did, he would have suffered catastrophic damage. In the end, it was only 15 knots, and it pushed his rudder into the sandbank, and he was able to save it in time. But what is it with some people when you give them some advice or friendly advice, you're joking around, and they just don't accept it? I don't know, but I would have certainly liked to have filmed my performance, because we did scare the hell out of this poor guy, and he did turn off his motors quick smart after I became so irate. I think he was fearing for his life. I don't like this situation. I don't like any getting angry or upset over anything. This is cruising, people. We're out there to enjoy the environment and enjoy each other's company. Well, some don't have the same idea. There is no turning back. We have to take the plunge. We have to find the right path. No depth is too great. No terrain too hard. We must go on. We must. Many of the others look down upon us, but we will survive. We must, because there is no other alternative other than oblivion. All has been cast in one final throw. Sometimes we come upon a junction and we don't know which way to turn, but I sense something now. There, that way. It must be to the right path. The feeling is getting stronger, even stronger now. Air is getting low, but the path is leading us deeper. We have no choice but to go on and go deeper and deeper. But wait, I can see a light at the end of this tunnel. There people, there it is. There is salvation. That will save us. Grab it! Hold on tight and don't let go! Hold on! Hold